I had a really good sleep last night, and that's important because I didn't have such a good sleep when I was experimenting with plant foods recently. So I'm back on my carnivorous ketogenic diet, which in the literature is termed a Paleolithic ketogenic diet. And I've found that for me personally, I'm not saying this is the same for everyone, but for me, I have always felt best when I've been adopting my therapeutic carnivorous ketogenic diet. So it's approximately 80% fat and 20% protein, negligible carbs. I have grass-fed organ meats, oily fish, well, wild oily fish, and plenty of pasture-raised egg yolks. The yolk is where you have the least deuterium, so it just makes sense to make up that fat that I need, even though it's still a calorie restricted ketogenic diet, with the egg yolks. It's kind of the opposite that a lot of bodybuilders do, where they like to have the egg whites, but so many of the benefits are in the egg yolks, especially as I had some brain damage, so the choline is also very useful for me. The choline, the saturated fat, and the cholesterol. If you have a damaged brain, that's a good idea to have more from the diet. And so yeah, I feel really good and I'm sleeping much better. And it's nice to always have a flat stomach. When I was experimenting with vegetables, even though my sensitivity has improved so much, it's just immeasurable the amount of improvements I've had, I still feel best doing things this way. That's what works for me. Now I continue to have things like ginger and turmeric and frankincense, which help me a lot with neuroinflammation and gut health and all these things. Because I see them as medicines rather than foods. So I'll continue to have those. I'm not going to be dogmatic about all this, thinking that I just can't have even plants as medicines. So that's how I see it. I'll have these these things as medicines rather than just staple food sources. And they're not completely necessary. So I won't always have them. I'll just have them when I feel like I need them. And sometimes people, I feel, have too much of an approach where they try to do everything that they see as good. Sometimes a minimalist approach is best. That's what I feel anyway. And sometimes you need to have your digestive system just having a break from doing its thing to do other things. Maintenance and repair mostly. That word that people like to use so much now, autophagy. So yeah, just have breaks from eating, time restricted feeding. And I'm thinking a lot about deuterium depletion with my diet, encouraging my body to generate its own deuterium depleted metabolic water. And I feel like I did benefit from being on the deuterium depleted water for a long time. And I'm off it now. I must have done about 2 months, maybe a little bit more. And it was very interesting because I noticed I had a real surge in energy after a few weeks doing it. And it takes about 4 weeks to significantly deplete your body's deuterium level. That's what I've read. So yeah, I feel like I'm improving after a dip. I had an increase of energy after a few weeks with the deuterium depleted water, and then I pushed myself a bit too much. I was taking too much on because I thought, oh, I've got this energy. And I seemed to have this surge in the mornings that I didn't have previously, and I was doing exercise in the mornings, having these long days, and then thinking I was just how amazing it was. But then I had this huge dip in energy, and I thought, what's this about? But then I thought, oh yeah, I still have brain damage, so I probably shouldn't push myself. I'm not. This isn't making me like some kind of superhero, or this person that's immune to any kind of stress, even if it's a positive stress. Even a positive stress over a period of time can become a negative stress. So I had to spend more time in nature and slow things down, prioritize my sleep again. And I feel like I'm getting back to where I was when I was feeling really good. And that's so important, just spending more time in nature. I usually don't like this time of year because it's coming up to winter, but I've decided to embrace the changing of the seasons and to get out in it. Because the worst thing you can do is to stay inside and to pretend it's not happening. If you embrace the seasons, you can become more resilient, and your cells can become more resilient, and that just has so many benefits. To become more resilient to the stress. It's like exercise. Your whole system can become more resilient, and more resilient to disease and such. You don't want too much stress, but you want just the right amount and at the right times. It's good to cycle between hot and cold. So over the winter I'll try to have more saunas, and but also expose myself to the cold and not hide from it. Just have that nice cycling in between, and to do more exercise and spend more time in nature, do more walking, and just mentally be a lot easier on myself. My mum's doing very well at the moment. She's been having the deuterium depleted water. Her ketones look great as well. Her blood glucose and blood ketone readings are fantastic. And she also has oxaloacetate, which is a great thing to have in combination with the ketogenic diet. And she has the oxaloacetate with vitamin C because it makes it more effective. The only downside is you have to have so much of this supplement to have any real benefit for cancer management like this. And it just optimizes your mitochondrial function. So with all these other things, of course, there's nothing in isolation that is a magic pill, but for having stage 4 cancer, she's doing incredibly well, and it's encouraging. Seems to be doing well with the water and everything. I'm looking for, and she had a body deuterium depletion test, and this was a few weeks after having the water and doing all these things, and her measures are actually in the optimal range already. So she at that point in time she was actually doing better than me in terms of her body's deuterium level. I need to test mine again to see what's happening, but I want to make sure I continue with the path I'm on before I test that and really optimize my sleep and everything. Even though I've been off the water for a while, I feel like I've obtained a nice level. I just feel it. I can notice the change. You notice more in your energy levels. I had that dip in energy, so I want to bring it back up before I do this test. I think that's really important. So I've gone on enough now. I'm going to get outside because even though it looks like it might rain, as it rained earlier, I need to embrace the seasons and embrace all weather, because that's important. It's important to connect with nature, because that's how we're designed to be.